Hello again, Precalculus, and we're on 10-1 day 1. Let's take a look at some actual problems here. So again, these notes are brand new and improved, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy them during these quarantine days. So I took a sequence, a list of terms, and so the very first thing you're going to do, and this is going to apply to every single day of this chapter, is you're always going to look for a pattern. Even if you don't write it down or say it out loud, you at least have to think it so you know what to do next. So if you're looking at this one, it's going up by 3, by adding 3, and then I'm adding 3 again, and then I'm adding 3, and I'm adding 3 again. So the pattern here is to add 3. So the most common patterns you'll look for are going to be adding and multiplying, but there are some other patterns beyond that as well. So now using the rule of adding 3, so 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 3, plus 3, and plus 3, so we found more terms. Now the explicit rule, if I gave you some time, you would be able to come up with a formula that would generate these terms. I don't want to stress you out with that today because in lesson 10-2 day 1, it's going to become so much easier. So I put a little foreshadowing on here for part C just to entice you to keep you coming back for some more exciting videos in the future. But the recursive rule, we can do that. I think it's probably worth mentioning a little side note here because it's your first day ever talking about a recursive rule, and they will come back pretty much every day of this chapter. So I want to just add a little side note. Maybe you'll want that too. So a recursive rule, it has two parts. First one, super easy. All you do is identify the first term. Almost always you're going to know that. Every once in a while you will have to find that. So you'll identify the first term. And then step 2 is you're going to give a formula to find the next term. And I mentioned this in the previous video. The way you're going to do that is by using the previous term. And I want to add one extra little note here just for some notation. We're going to use a sub n minus 1. That's how we're going to identify the previous term. So now, going back to our problem number 1, I'm going to say a sub 1 first term equals negative 7. That was easy. It was given to us. Now, maybe I'll switch colors. Okay, I guess I'm going to. Now, a sub n, that's any term, equals the term before it, previous term, and then I'm going to go back to part A where I said, oh, add 3? Okay, so I'll put plus 3. So previous term plus 3. It's just telling me to start at negative 7, and now just keep adding 3 to get to each term. And then we're going to talk about converge or diverge. Well, if I take these numbers and I just keep adding 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, it's going to keep increasing forever and ever and ever, approaching positive infinity, so it's going to diverge. All right, we'll look at number 2, and then we'll take another break. So here is another sequence, 81, 27, 9, 3. You can see the numbers are getting smaller. So first you're going to see, am I subtracting the same thing every time? And you're going to say nope. And then the pattern that you're going to see after a few seconds of thought is, the one that's going to probably pop into your brain first is divide by 3. But I want to get in your head a little bit because I know it's coming in the future. And I would like you to think about that as multiplying by 1/3. So dividing by 3 is not wrong, but the formulas that we're going to be using in the future lessons are going to involve multiplication. So now let's go with our list. So now I'm going to keep dividing by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1 divided by 3 is 1/3. 1/3 divided by 3 is 1/9. And 1/9 divided by 3, or 1/9 times 1/3 is 1/27. So I didn't want to stress you out on day 1 with part C. If I gave you some time, you would definitely be able to figure out some rule that works. And this one's really cool because there's lots of possible answers. But it is going to become so much easier in lesson 10-3 when we're going to give you some specific formulas as soon as you realize that the pattern involved is multiplication. So I had to put those on there for you just to entice you to keep coming back, and good times. All right, recursive rule. So we know first thing, hey, first term, 81. That was given. Seems too easy. It feels like cheating. Now, I want to get the next term. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go back to my rule. It said multiply by 1/3. So I'm going to take 1/3 times the previous term, and the a sub n minus 1 is the previous term. And then it's going to ask for converging or diverging. So if I go back to my list, 81, 27, 9, 3, and I keep it going 1, 1/3, 1/9, 1/27, those numbers are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They're getting closer and closer to 0, and so they are going to converge. And we'll take a break there. Join me for some more problems. Peace out.